Hey everybody, Steve here, Wariner Wednesday. Thank you again for being with us. Number 9, I think. So glad you guys are here. I hope you guys are well, safe, and healthy. Gosh, pretty good week this week. Blake Shelton won last night. That was good. First time in 4 years, I think, right on The Voice. Blake won. Yay, Blake! And Todd Tillman, congratulations to Todd. That's fantastic. So anyway, got a bunch of songs here for you guys tonight. Got some of my hits. I'm going to do a little bit more of my stuff, I think, tonight. I want to say hello to my buddy Turk Wendell. He had a birthday yesterday. MLS baseball big league pitcher, pitched for the Cubs. Philadelphia. He pitched in the World Series with the Mets. And Turk, we love you, man. Call me. I don't know where you are. You're gone from me now. But anyway, happy birthday, Turk. I'll tell you guys next week. I'll throw this out. Next week, I'm going to be Monday night. I'm going to be in the bunker with Mark Wills. Mark does live from the bunker, he calls it, and it's a fantastic Facebook Live. And so if you get a chance Monday night, I check the time. I'm not sure, but I think my wonderful producer Karen, do you know what time? That's okay. I'm thinking 7ish, but 7 probably. But anyway, check that. Mark Wills live from the bunker. So Mark, looking forward to that, my friend. Last week it was cool. I don't do it very often, but 8 o'clock. It starts at 8. Mark Wills at 8. That's going to be fun. I'll do a couple tunes and do some stuff with Mark probably. I don't know what's in store there, but he's an old friend, old pal. So that'll be good to catch up. I was knocked out last week with reading all the replies and the stuff. I've really enjoyed that. All these weeks, I don't get to see it as it goes by because the way we're configured and the way I do it, it wouldn't work so well for me anyway. I'm trying to concentrate, so I'd be trying to read your comments and stuff, trying to sing. So it's probably just as well. But I have to tell you that I really, really enjoy reading your guys' comments and what you have to say, and sometimes the way you're sticking up for me, whatever. But I really do appreciate the comments, the nice words, and boy, it's really nice to hear you guys talking about some of those old songs and bragging on some of those old ones. I love them too, like you do, and anyway, I appreciate that. Tonight, I don't guess you would call it a tip jar, but tonight, if you want to give. Don't give anything to me. Give to Vanderbilt. We're saying tonight Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, I guess you'd say. And last week it was Music Cares, which helped a lot of musicians here locally. They do a great, great job. Or was it Health Alliance? One week was Health Alliance
that
too.
Was the first week.
First week was Last week was Music Cares, and this week is Vanderbilt University. So if you in Nashville, they do so much good, especially for kids. And so if you get a chance, send them a few bucks if you can. I mean, that'd be great. So, and let's see. I want to say a special thanks to my buddy Garth Shaw. He has been kind of on a little thing about. He brought up a couple times about Steve Wariner and the Hall of Fame, some kind of thing about that. And not worthy, Garth, but I want to say thank you for bringing up my name there, and I appreciate that very much, pal. And let's see. Michael Martin Murphy was on last week, so my pal. Michael Martin, I'm glad that you were aboard with us last week, and I miss you, man. I miss our West Fest we used to play together, all the shows. Watching you do that beautiful cowboy poetry, and I'll say hi to my Noblesville friends, class of 1973. That would be me. So all my 73ers, man. I got a lot of comments, a lot of them watching last week, and so I'll say a big howdy to my Noblesville Millers. By the way, what was your Our mascot was the Noblesville Millers, being my town, Noblesville, was a milling town all through the, I guess, 40s, 50s. I don't even know, way before that, I guess, but I'm a big mill town. And so my team was the Millers. That put a lot of fear in people, I'm sure. The Millers, the mighty Millers. But anyway, what was your school mascots? I'd like to hear what some of those were. So. Anyway, I will also say that we had a lot of requests for people asking for songs, a few titles that are just, I don't even mind saying it's just virtually impossible to do without a rhythm section behind me. I'll try my best and I can get away with most of it, but some of those tunes are just pert near it impossible, as they say. So I'll try to do my best getting some of those if I can. And some of them you just have to understand it's without a drummer and a bass and keys and all that, it's pretty difficult. But so with having said that, I will jump in and do a song that I wrote. By the way, this is my I'll introduce again my Gretsch signature model that came out last summer. Officially came out in the fall, I guess September, but it's called the Steve Wariner Nashville Gentleman, and so that's it right there, and I'm so proud. The Gretsch people are unbelievable. They're wonderful. But I wrote this tune with my buddy Leroy Parnell. Where are you, Leroy? I need you here. Why you been gone so long? I've been sitting here staring at the window, hugging on the telephone. I've been searching my mind, trying hard to find something that I did wrong. Oh, Carmelita, why you been gone so long? I called your mama and your sister, I even called your daddy too. He said, listen here, mister, yeah, this one's up to you. He said, you know I love my baby, but she's hard-headed like her mom. I've already fought that battle, now yours has just begun. Oh, Carmelita, why you been gone so long? I've been sitting here staring out the window, hugging on the telephone. I've been searching my mind, trying hard to find something that I did wrong. Oh, Carmelita, why you been gone so long? I need my B-bender. You know you really got me shook up. Yeah, you really cut me down to size. But I'm never gonna give up until I look you in the eyes and I hear your explanation and you seal it with a kiss. It's gonna take the time of your loving to get me over this. Oh, Carmelita, why you been gone so long? I'm tired of sitting here staring out the window, hugging on the telephone. I'm tired of searching my mind, trying hard to find something that I did wrong. Oh, Carmelita, why you been gone so long? Oh, Carmelita, why you been gone so long? Come here, Carmelita. Come here, girl. You're killing me. Oh my gosh, scatting. Woo, it's funny. It's funny on the scat stuff, you know. I speaking of that, it's when I worked with Chet Atkins, he always really liked when I would do the scat stuff. He would always, I could see him kind of coming my way, and he would whisper, "Do some scat sing," you know. And I always would do it if he said that. Of course, I'm going to do it. And of course, I did it on my hit that I wrote. Rick Carnes and I wrote a hit for Garth Brooks, Long Neck Bottle, dropping names. But we wrote that song for Garth. And I remember cutting that record with Garth, and I did a little scat solo on that as well. And I remember Garth saying, yeah, keep doing that, you know. So it's fun to do that scat stuff. But Leroy and I cut that. We wrote that together, Leroy Parnell, my old pal, and cut that on a record a few years back. And was that Still Another Day, I think, Karen, wasn't it? That was on Still Another Day, I think, Carmelita. I think so. I'm getting where I don't remember those. I used to remember every producer, every songwriter, all that, but I don't know. I guess time is beating me up a little bit. I'm getting slapped around by the hands of time, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, switch guitars on you guys. You know, I'm awful glad that it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I'm really glad I think it is in Nashville anyway, things are starting to kind of open up, you know, here. So a lot of stores are opening up, and restaurants, they're being very cautious and still doing the distancing stuff, you know, of course, and I'm sure that's what they're doing where you are. But it's starting to open up, so we'll see how this plays out in the next few weeks with our show. But I've been enjoying it immensely, I have to tell you that. So, and let's see, what are we going to do? I guess we'll tune up. No one wants to hear me playing out of tune, so. 1982. Wow. 6 months out at sea, be coming home soon on leave. I think of her as I stand here on the deck. Stars light the sky like a Kansas City night. Reflections on the water take me back. Kansas City lights in my mind, they shine so bright. She's waiting there, I've been away too long. Kansas City lights shine for me tonight. Watch over her for me till I get home. 'Cause no war is ever won, mine's a job that must be done. It's just sometimes it feels like no one cares. The waves are calm tonight as I take my pen and write. You're always in my dreams and in my prayers. Kansas City lights in my mind, they shine so bright. She's waiting there, I've been away too long. Kansas City lights shine for me tonight. Watch over her for me till I get home. I dream I feel the plane descending above the lights of Kansas City, and as the plane touches down, I see her standing there right now. Kansas City lights in my mind, they shine so bright. She's waiting there, I've been away too long. Kansas City lights shine for me tonight. Watch over her for me till I get home. remember when that song. Yes, do you have something, Karen?
Tell everybody we're sorry about the lighting tonight, but it's raining.
Oh, okay.
And every time we turned it up just a little
My
bit,
excellent producer,
it glares in
director,
your guitars.
producer,
We're really
floor
sorry.
manager. She'd go, what?
So, anyway,
She's giving me trouble. I'm in trouble
I'm just
tonight.
saying, I just want to make
No,
sure
I tell you.
we-
So right, I think in the middle of that they may have seen some lighting. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, this is. We're just happy
can't
to.
help it. It's raining. And
It's
stormy.
raining and dreary and
Then it gets bright.
gloomy. It's changing outside, getting ready to get dark. Anyway, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm glad to be with you guys and glad you're joining us. So, I was going to say on that Kansas City Lights, that song when it was a hit, it was funny. That's what I remember going to the Royals, Kansas City Royals. We were out there playing a show, and I went to the stadium, and I remember they played that song at a Royals game, and George Brett, who was a mega star on that team, man, he came over and spoke and hung out with me a moment or two, and that was a thrill for me. So never will forget it. But I thought, well, I've made it now. I'm on the big scoreboard and the big picture, and they're playing my song. That's so great. Good times, 1982, I think it was. So hope you don't mind me wearing you out with all my war stories, but a lot of people say they like those little tidbits, so I'm going to keep doing it, I guess. I get asked for this so much. Probably my favorite, I guess. A couple of days isn't a very long time. Why can't I just walk away? I used to be good at goodbye. But out on the water, under the stars, I let the moonlight play a trick on my heart. You had some fun for the weekend, but I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, and I fell right over. I didn't think twice. I finally got something worth keeping. And if I can't have you tonight, at least I had the weekend. Ooh. The radio plays the sound of the waves rolling in. The spell of the night that sure can get under your skin. And just for a moment, I held you too close. And now I'm all out of time, and I don't want to let go. You had some fun for the weekend, but I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, and I fell right over. I didn't think twice. I finally got something worth keeping. And if I can't have you tonight, at least I had the weekend. How much can happen in a night or two? I guess it's all depending on your point of view. You had some fun for the weekend, girl, but I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, and I fell right over. I didn't think twice. You had some fun for the weekend. Ooh. Yeah, man. So, I got a couple stories I want to tell you guys. There was a guy that worked with me years ago when I worked for Chet Atkins, a gentleman named George Lunn, who was he was Chet's right-hand guy for 30 plus years probably, was a head of the Nashville Stagehands Union, I believe. He was just an incredible guy. When I started touring with Chet Atkins, he was Chet's tour manager. When we would go on the road, George would be he was the boss guy. And I got a couple of stories on working with Chet and George Lunn. We only flew. We didn't have a bus, so we only flew dates, and about half of our dates were with symphony orchestras, and the other half were what we call small group dates. And George was a magician of sorts, and he would get in the back of the plane. All of us got usually in the back of the plane. Usually Chet was up front, but we would get in the back, and George would do magic tricks, card tricks, and he really inspired me a lot with my love for close-up magic. Partly, I had 2 or 3 inspirations, but inspiring mentors. But he was definitely one. I remember one time we were flying somewhere, and there was someone on our plane very famous, like a Hollywood person, an actor. I can't remember who it was right off, but it was really impressed me, I guess. But I don't remember. But they were very popular. And George, I remember George was one of those characters. He was just a character. And he walked up to the guy. He had it pre-planned and had this in his pocket, of course. But he walked up to the guy and he said, whoever this actor was, he said, "Hey, how about an autograph?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, sure, okay." And so George reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a piece of paper that says George Lunn on it and hands it to the guy. So that was the kind of guy George was. And he went to, after Chet had passed, I took him we did a Europe tour, and I took him with me on some dates. I didn't do a lot. It was a short little mini tour, but we went to France and Poland and I can't remember, Amsterdam or Holland, and maybe I can't remember, but anyway, George went with us. I wanted to get him out on the road again after all the years, and Chet was gone, and so I never will forget. He looked at me. I went to a college in Warsaw, Poland, and in this particular town we were in, not Warsaw, but it was a city. Morangovo is the name of the city, and anyway, George went with me to the college, and I taught a music class. And not one person in that room could speak English. I had an interpreter, and I couldn't speak Polish, and it was a mess. And George was trying to speak to those guys and trying to tell them what I was saying, but George was, and he was. We were exhausted. We flew, and I remember flying into Warsaw, and then we drove like 5 hours north of there, up almost right on the Russian border, and I remember George was just mad at me. He says, "Wariner, this is the farthest I've ever come in my life to play 2 or 3 shows." He goes, "Good Lord," he was just giving me you know what. So, but I will say this: one time we were Randy Hauser, Tony Migliore piano, Randy played drums, Paul Yandel played guitar. Let's see, am I leaving someone out? I played George, and then myself, I played bass. And Chet, we played a show in Richmond, Virginia. We did 2 or 3 shows, but we wound up, the last show was Richmond, Virginia. And we were leaving. This would have been 1979 probably. Maybe 80, 79 probably. But we were flying home to Nashville from Richmond, Virginia. And right when we took off, we just got leveled off, and the pilot came on the intercom, and he said, "Folks, I don't want to alarm anyone, but I remember him saying this term. He said, "There's a substance on our plane," that someone called and said there's a threat, that there's a substance on our plane. I remember him saying that. And you could tell that the flight attendants were pretty shaken. You know, they were real silent and not saying a whole lot. And then he said, he goes, "We don't think it's anything, but we have to take it seriously." And he says, "We're going to make an emergency landing, and we're going to turn and make a turn. You're going to feel us turn, and we're going to go to Raleigh and make a landing." And just so it was one of those crazy 30 minutes or so that was just dead silence. And I looked over at Chad. He was sitting up about 5 rows in front of me by the window on the other opposite side where I was, and I could see Chet just calmly as anything was just reading the paper. You know, he's reading the paper, kicked back, not a worry in the world, and everybody else around was going, "Oh my God," you know. And we landed, and they had all the emergency stuff out, you know, the fire trucks. When we were coming in for the landing, they had the full blown. They had, you know, FBI, and the FBI came on the plane and got everybody off, and they did the whole shebang, you know, and took us to a hotel. And I remember the FBI interviewed Chet. I was with Chet, and they interviewed him because he was a celebrity. They wanted to know. They asked him a lot of questions, and we stayed there in this hotel room right by the airport for probably an hour or so, and finally got on a plane and came on back home. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. It's kind of one of my crazy flight stories, and there's been a few of them, but that was one of the weirdest ones. And I love it, though. I guess my point was Chet was so calm. He just sat there reading the paper like nothing happened. Speaking of Chet, I'm going to play you a tune, I should say, on my Gretsch. This is a song that I wrote about Chet. It's from the album My Tribute to Chet Atkins, which we won a Grammy on. But I wrote a song kind of in a timeline of sorts about Chet's life. I did a few of Chet's songs, but primarily they were songs I wrote in a timeline of Chet's life and eras for him and his wife, actually, Leona, too. But anyway, I wrote the very opening song was a song that I wrote called Leavin Lateral, and it's actually, Lateral is in East Tennessee above Knoxville. That's where Chet was born and raised, where he's from. He was partly raised in Atlanta, Georgia. His father lived there. Mother and father was split, you know, and he lived part of his time there, but he was in Lateral a lot, and coincidentally, that's where Kenny Chesney's from. He's from that same little area there. But this song is called Leavin Lateral, if I can get through it. know what I'm playing. I'm just ad-libbing here. Probably ought to write something around that. That's woo. It's just weird tonight. The temperature's weird, isn't it? It's rainy, then it's not, and it's weird weather. I want to tell you guys about a friend of mine named Sam Bass, who is not with us. He's been gone a little bit now, but he was a dear friend, a guitar collector, but he was an artist. He was a brilliant artist. He did a lot of stuff for NASCAR, designed the car designs and schemes for Dale Earnhardt Sr. and a lot of great. Karen, you may know more than I do, but he designed a lot of the car stuff for NASCAR. That's how I knew him, from my friend Michael Waltrip introduced me to Sam Bass, and we filmed a piece in Charlotte one time with Sam and a bunch of Michael's friends. And but anyway, Sam and I got to be close friends. He was like I say, a great artist and could paint and draw and do anything. He was a guitar player too. He had a great guitar collection. And when my Takamine, Steve Wariner signature model Takamine came out, I gave him one. And at a show, I was playing in Charlotte, and he came out, and I presented him with one of my guitars and signed it for him. And really a cool guy. And it wasn't long; a few years went by, and he came to. I think he came to Nashville. I guess he gave me a guitar, but he was designing a new scheme for Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s car, and I knew Dale pretty well when I saw him. I didn't see him a lot, but I knew a lot of those NASCAR guys, and Dale was one of my favorites. Him and DW and of course Michael Waltrip, and a bunch of those guys are just tremendous. But I knew Dale, and so Sam Bass had a new deal that he was doing with Gibson guitars, and he was going to paint a limited series of these NASCAR Les Paul Gibson guitars with Dale Earnhardt's car scheme and images on it, like it's on his car. So partly like his car. But anyway, so he gave me one, and I thought I'd show you guys. I thought it was pretty cool. I can't plug it in and play it because it's kind of been hanging on the wall. It's not all ready to go. But how about that? Is that not cool or what? And it's got Dale's image here. If you can, I don't know if you can see it, but the volume and tone knobs are lug nuts. You know, that's really cool. And the guitar strap is like the Simpson straps, like a safety strap, seatbelt. You know, so. And Sam signed it and numbered it. It's a numbered piece of art, you know. So anyway, I thought that might be kind of cool. And number 3, Dale Earnhardt. I loved him. He was so funny, and he loved country music, didn't he, Karen? He was a big country guy, and we loved hanging out with him. So anyway, Sam Bass, we love you. We miss you, pal. I guess if I was asked, I had a couple people ask me this. They were asking me what song that I did. This caught my eye when I read a couple of these the other night after the show. A couple of people asked me about what song have I done that's made the greatest impact in my career. And I'm not going to do the song, but I'll tell you about it. I'd have to say Karen would agree that it's a song I wrote with Billy Courage called Holes in the Floor of Heaven, which was the 97, 98, it was a CMA Song of the Year that year, and Academy of Country Music Song of the Year. Billy Kirsch is a tremendous songwriter. We wrote it together, but that song, I've never had a song. I've been lucky to be involved in a lot of songs, a lot of songwriting through the years, and I've never had. And I know Karen, you'd agree that we've never had anything that had that kind of response, that kind of feedback immediately when it came out, and with emails and snail mail letters and cards and stuff that came in. So much that we actually made a book. We did a book, Holes in the Floor of Heaven, a coffee table book that it's nothing that I did at all. It's just all letters real actual letters. The whole book is just letters, and the song is in the book too. You can probably find it on eBay. Sometimes I see them on there, but they're out of print now. But that book was out for a long time, and I think one of the coolest things one time, I think I was playing a show, I think up in the Midwest somewhere, and I saw this little boy in line. He was standing. That book had just come out, and this little boy, he was probably 10 years old or something. I could see him back there, 4 or 5 people in the autograph line, and he was approaching and getting closer with his mom, and I could tell he was really getting amped up and getting excited as he got closer. And as soon as it was his turn, I motioned to him and I said, "Hey, come on, buddy." And he comes running up to me, and he's got tears in his eyes. He's just hugging me, and I go, "Man, what's going on?" And I won't use his real name. I don't think this is his real name, but I won't say it anyway. But I said, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And he goes, "I'm just really glad to meet you. I'm Max from page 13 in your book." And it was a story that he had written me in this book, and it was telling him about how he beat leukemia, I think it was. And it was a wonderful story. And he was just hugging me real tightly, and we had a really, really cool moment. And I'll never forget that. So I think, having said that probably I've had songs that had impact, but this one is truly, of my songs and stuff that I've done, no question that Holes in the Floor of Heaven is the biggest and the most impact, I guess. And I really owe it to Garth Brooks for bringing me and that song to Capitol, and Pat Quigley, who was the head of Capitol Records. And Quigley immediately said, "Yep, we're doing it and we're putting this thing out." And so I always tip my hat to Pat Quigley. So. I want to do you a song now that was I remember Tim Dubois at Arista brought me in to a meeting, a pre-production meeting. We're getting ready to do a new album, my first album at Arista, actually. And I remember I was listening to songs, and he started playing. He said, "This is an old song, but I want you to be open-minded about it." And he started playing me. And as soon as I heard this song, I knew what song it was, and I just stopped him. First of all, I recognized the voice. It was a good friend of mine named Ronnie Moore who was singing the demo, a new version of the demo, a song that Bill Anderson wrote. And I knew Ronnie's voice immediately because he's a tremendous singer. And then I just stopped. I stopped Tim Dubois and I said, "I know this song. I love this song. My dad used to sing this a lot." And so he said, "Well, we ought to redo it and cut it again and do a new version." And we did, and it was a #1 record. And I remember going to at the time, Tree Publishing. We had a big #1 party, and we celebrated. Bill was there, and of course he wrote it. And I reached out my arms and I touched you with soft words. I whispered your name. I held your love on the tips of my fingers, but that was as close as I came. My eyes had a vision of sweet lips, yielding beneath my command. I held you right on the tips of my fingers, but I let you slip right through my hands. Yes, I let you slip right through my hands. Somebody took you when I wasn't looking, and I should have known from the start. It's a long, long way from the tips of my fingers to the love hidden deep in your heart, to the love hidden deep in your heart. Somebody took you when I wasn't looking, and I should have known from the start. It's a long, long way from the tips of my fingers to the love hidden deep in your heart, to the love hidden deep in your heart. I held your love on the tips of my fingers. Bill Anderson. My buddy Clint Black released a new song this past week, and it's a song from his new album called Out of Sane. And it's a tremendous album, if I say so myself. I have a couple songs that I co-wrote with Clint. In fact, the new single is I Do My Best Thinking. And man, it's so cool. I'm very, very proud. So if you get a chance, go check out Clint Black's new single from his new album. His new album will be out soon, too. I've got my pre-order in already, so you can pre-order it right now. So it's called Out of Sane, Clint Black, the new album. And his new single is called I Do My Best Thinking When I'm Thinking About You. I wish I could do it. I don't have to work it up, but you got to hear Clint do it. And he'll be doing some more Facebook stuff, I'm sure, real soon live. Pardon my tuning. I miss you, Nuke. Where are you? Go ahead and break my heart and just see if I can. I ain't gonna fall apart, girl, just 'cause you're not there. Even when the going starts to get a little rough, I'm gonna keep on trying hard. I'm never giving up. I got dreams to get me through this time. You say you don't love me, but one of these days you might. gonna take a lot of hurt to throw me off this track. 'Cause I know everything will be alright when you come back. I got dreams to get me through this night. You say you don't love me, but one of these days you might. I got dreams to keep me holding on. You come running back where you belong. It's gonna take a lot of hurt to throw me off this track. I know everything will be alright when you come back. I got dreams to get me through this night. You say you don't love me, but one of these days you might. I got dreams to keep me holding on. That you come running back where you belong. I got dreams. I got dreams. I got dreams. Oh, I guess it's my song. I can do it any way I want in that solo part. I wrote that with my good friend Bill Abowney, who was one of my favorite writers. Oh, let's see. I was going to tell you a story, a Jerry Reed story. I was going to tell you. I got 100 of Jerry Reed stories, but I'm really fortunate that the last two projects that Jerry did, he did here in my studio, and we brought some great, or he did. I'd say Gordon Kennedy produced, and they brought some great players up in here, and we cut the last two things that Jerry did. But he was just a dear, dear friend, and I never will forget the night our buddy Chet Atkins passed away. The night before the service, Jerry called me, and I didn't know him great at that point. I knew him. We'd done shows together, but I got to know him very well later, but after that, actually. But I remember he called that night, and he just poured his heart out talking about Chet for about 45 minutes. I wish I could have recorded it. It was so incredible, poignant, and just beautifully stated, his love for Chet, and I felt the same way. So, but Jerry was a dear friend, and that is the Jerry Reed elevator right there. There's a big sign in there that says so. He named it that himself, so. There will never be another like Jerry Reed. And Chet even said it. Chet even said once, I heard him say it more than once, he said, Jerry Reed's the greatest guitar player there is. He stood on the ground. He weighed 235 pounds. I saw that giant of a man brought down to his knees by love. He was the kind of man who would gamble on luck, look you in the eye and never back up. I saw him crying like a little whipped pup because of love. You can't see it with your eyes, hold it in your hands, but like the wind that covers our land, strong enough to rule the heart of any man, this thing called love. It can lift you up, it can let you down, take your world and turn it all around. Ever since time, nothing's ever been found stronger than love. Most men are like me, they struggle and doubt, trouble their mind day in and day out, too busy with living to worry about a thing called love. When I see a mother's tenderness, she holds her baby to her breast, I thank God that we've been blessed with a thing called love. You can't see it with your eyes, hold it in your hand, but like the wind that covers our land, strong enough to rule the heart of any man, this thing called love. It can let you up, it can let you down, take your world and turn it all around. Ever since time, nothing's ever been found stronger than love. So glad you guys are with us tonight. We appreciate it. Appreciate you making all the comments and sending all the requests and so forth. We'll do the best we can. We're going to see how this thing plays out next couple weeks as we open up more and more. And that's a good thing, right? It needs to be opening up. We need to get back to everybody working and having fun, too, on top of that. So anyway. This song was written in 1949. And man, I think it's just as relevant now. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out in danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. And if I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Well, I've got a hammer and I've got a bell and I've got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice and it's the bell of freedom, and it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. I've got a hammer and I've got a bell and I've got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice and it's the bell of freedom, and it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Thank you guys for being with us on another edition of Wariner Wednesday. It is episode number 9, and I just want to say thanks for being with us, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Be safe and be kind.